I hear static.
A lot of static.
Whoa! Static. I got static on my.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on, but it's all kind of weird right now. That's why we do the show before the show, Joe. The show before
Joe.
Yeah, it's almost as if it's like very loud, hollow.
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
Maybe it's because he turned it down.
I think. Is it better?
Yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah,
I had you guys all the way up.
Yeah, now we sound fine.
Okay.
Turn up the radio.
Turn up the volume.
I need some music. Got to get me some more. My sophomore likes some Kiss songs. Did I tell you guys that yet?
No, I didn't know that.
So funny, especially with Kelly Mann going to the concert next week. They were running commercials for Kiss during NFL Fox Sunday and yesterday.
That's awesome.
Get your tickets. St. Louis, Kiss.
I used to love them as a kid. Had all their albums.
Me too. I was 8 years old.
8 years old. I was a little bit older, but not much when I had all their stuff.
What do you got here? Good morning, everybody. We're going to have to start the show here. We didn't have much of a show before the show today, trying to get everybody in as much as possible. We apologize for that. We'll give you the show before the show tomorrow.
It's a Monday.
Yes, we're a national show, but I was so happy. Yes, I'll bring it up during football season. My Missouri Tigers won, took care of Kentucky on Saturday. Sorry, the Kentucky football team, they're always just the biggest bunch of thugs, coached by a thug himself and Mark Stoops. I'm sorry. I'm teasing. Mizzou and Kentucky just fight all the time. A lot of crap going on there. MIZZOU, but Brady Cook took some cheap shots and helped Missouri win. Then the Lions, now tied for the best record in all the NFL. And Detroit fans, Lizzie, traveled to all these other stadiums massively.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a huge NFL story this year where they're taking over stadiums.
Huh.
And this happens when you haven't won forever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, over the last 16 games, you're the best team in the NFL. So they're taking over stadiums. They took over Tampa. And so when they go on the road,
wow.
Yes, I know. MIZZOU. JM says, I love your blouse. It's so nice, Lizzie.
Thank you. It's really comfortable, too. Thank you.
Pro Joe in the house. Intern Chase here as well. Wish we could put him on camera.
I was so excited to see Chase. Chase, you want to come in here with us?
He hates the camera.
You want to come in here with us?
He's doing...
Okay. Chase, I love Chase.
No, he does not like the camera. He's told me before.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't we all?
Don't you have your shot ready to go? You showed it to me.
Not today.
What the hell, Joe?
I didn't have time to set it up. It's a Monday for
Joe.
Sure.
No. Mondays we need to rock and roll. We've had days off. We're feeling good. You've had a weekend to rest. It's Fridays that should suck.
I couldn't get in the building. Well, I could get in the building over the weekend, but I had to do it in certain times that I wasn't available. So anyway.
All right, let's go ahead and start the show. Thank you, bud. Hey guys, welcome into cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks, Pro Joe in the house. Intern Chase in the studio today as well. We're grateful for that. Glad you're here on a Monday, October 16th podcast. This is cancelthisshow.com. Live Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, all the time on our website, of course, canceltheshow.com. You can get merchandise on the website now as well. You just click the merch button, hats, t-shirts, cups, all kinds of coolies and things of that nature. You can also pick your platform. We appreciate it. You can send us stars on Facebook as well. And of course, find the platform that works for you. We're a live show. However, you can watch, as most people do, after we're live. You can watch us or listen to us on the video podcast or the audio podcast as well. Check out our social media sites as well. On Instagram, we are Cancel This Live. We're on TikTok and, of course, Facebook as well. All right, lots to get into today as well, because obviously we told you last week the world changed, and I think it's changed forever. I really do. And I'm not just saying it because it's hot now. We'll see where we are 6 months from now once we get into more elections and things like that. But what's going on with Israel and Hamas and countries aligning, and we're seeing more of that, a lot of that to get into and talk about. We've also got the speaker situation going on. The Republicans don't know what they want to do. Out on Friday after the show ended, of course, Jim Jordan was brought in. We talked about, then we're like, oh, we find out on Friday, Jim Jordan may not have the votes, believe it or not. Only 4 Republicans can vote against him. And right now, word is that over 4 are not for Jim Jordan. When the American people are pretty much overwhelmingly for Jim Jordan and Republicans aren't, that are elected, it shows that they're bought and paid for, in my humble opinion.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
And Republican, I mean, I'm serious. I know it may seem, oh, Jim Jordan. I don't know, Lizzie. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what kind of backroom deals are going to have to be worked. We're going to get into that as well. Biden's blunders continue all over the place. Good golly, Miss Molly, when the world goes into disaster mode, he does not know what to do. He was supposed to take a trip to Colorado. He's going to stay at home now. Yeah, don't. Biden, just all kinds of mixed messages all over the place, and scary but believable. And I don't care, once again, if you're a Palestinian who is not for evil, who is not for violence, you still get connected. And these pro-Palestinian rallies all over, not the world, but America.
That's scary.
To show you where America is. And then you have FBI Director Wray telling people you better be vigilant, keep your head on a swivel because attacks could happen here. What? Is this not America? And then at the same point in time, you have Biden telling everybody they don't need guns, and they don't need guns with multiple bullets, because why else would you want to do? You'd want to kill something. Yet the FBI director at the same time is saying you need to protect yourself. Well, how do you protect yourself against attacks without weapons? Really? They got to get their shit together. They're all over the place. Once again, the worst president with the worst administration in the history of this country. And it's not by accident. It's all by plan. So we got a lot to get into it there. Lots of videos, lots of sound. Anything else I'm missing, Lizzie, that we were looking at and talking about?
I think you covered.
The first thing, I mean, Biden was on 60 Minutes yesterday, another softball interview.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I can speak to this. Just because these people have been given positions to do interviews does not mean that they are any good. It means that they are selective about their questions. And it's sad because Biden was not really pressed on issues, pressed on answers. He's an absolute idiot. We know that. And I only use the word idiot because he's an idiot, because his cognitive ability is not there. He should not be allowed to be in the position he is. Okay. Biden was talking yesterday. I just don't. And by the way, 30 Americans have officially been killed.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the response from Joe Biden? There's no anger. There's only dazed and confused looks, dazed and confused quotes. And 13 more Americans being held hostage.
Yes. And
does that not piss you off?
It should.
What is our country doing? Then you have Iran, their president, prime minister, meeting with the head of Hezbollah Saturday night, and you're going to tell me that they're not funding Hamas and Hezbollah? They are. And Helen, if you're listening, I'm sorry, they are. You're my friend, but they are. They are all attached at the hip. They are funding it. Even our own stupid ass government that doesn't tell us anything knows that they are funding. Robin Williams knew how much of an idiot former Vice President Sleepy Joe was decades ago from Chris Steiner. I don't know what that meant, but there you go.
There's videos of him talking bad about Joe Biden.
Okay, I hadn't seen those. Also, this is a live podcast. We love it when you guys get involved, when you jump in as well. 8 to 10 a.m. Of course, you guys help make the show as good as it possibly can be, and we're grateful for that. Here's Biden. First of all, I guess, where do we start with him? I don't know where we want to start with him, but fine, we'll start right here. Thank you, buddy. This is from 60 Minutes yesterday. This is when he was asked about what's going on in the region, and his response to other attacks that could happen.
Are you sure that you want to run again?
Yes, because I'm sure. Look, when I ran, I said the world's at an inflection point. The world's changing, but we have an opportunity to make it. So imagine if we were able to succeed in getting the Middle East put in place where we have normalization of relations. I think we can do that. Imagine what happens if we, in fact, unite all of Europe and Putin is finally put down where he cannot cause the kind of trouble he's been causing. We have enormous opportunities.
Are you sure that you want to run?
And does that look like a man that has energy, that's excited? That was during the interview when he was being interviewed about everything regarding Israel, by the way. How many things did he say about America in that response?
He doesn't care about America.
Man, we're going to unite Europe. Yeah, the one world order. Yeah, it's a cool thing. Have you heard about it? Ukraine.
Oh, he's so excited about Ukraine and the possibility of Ukraine getting more money because of what's going on over in Israel. He's so excited about it.
I know that we weren't going to expect anything better than this. Yeah, last week he said we stand with Israel, but actions always speak louder than words. We've also got the live podcast. You guys jump in. Greg says, rumor has it the A-10 squadrons have been activated. I don't know what America's involvement is going to be here, but now you have China also saying that Israel needs to stop their offensive. So they're posturing. Weapons stashes found over the weekend. Those aren't just weapons that Hamas got from Iran. They're weapons from China. There's weapons from Russia. And I know arms trade is a big deal, but if you don't think we have some massive issues that are going on, as we have spoken before, as you can be a Bible believer or not, but I mean, this is all predicted. It is all written about, and it's a 1 million man army will come in from the east. Speaking of China, the Euphrates River will dry up so that the armies can go to Israel. Russia and Iran would be players. I mean, this whole thing is just a little bit scary. And yeah, it's pretty black and white when it comes to what's going on. I do believe the world is changed forever now, because when you have an attack like this, the worst since the Holocaust on Israeli, forgive me for saying it if you hate me, but that is Israeli soil right now. That is an issue, and that's not going to be forgotten about. All the death, it's changed.
It has changed. For sure, it's changed. And it also opens everyone's eyes as to how people feel about Jewish people. There is true Jewish hate. And I think I talked to you about this last week, that I saw a billboard about Jewish hate. And I remember thinking, oh, come on now. The Holocaust hasn't been forever. There's no Jewish hate. There really isn't. And now, since a week ago, I have completely changed my mind. We have true Jew hate. And I always wondered, how did the Holocaust happen? People were really dumb back then. Look at it again. We're repeating everything.
Well, look at this rally, this Palestinian rally that happened over the weekend, and this just shows you how much support there is. And of course, and here's the thing: a lot of times, I want to believe, and Joe, you can play it. Hopefully, we can talk over it. If we can't, just let me know. I like to believe that it's just the few who are loud, like in this country, when it comes to some massive issues. You look at this rally. Guess where this is? All of that scene.
Is that New York City?
That's L.A.
Oh, this one's LA. Okay.
I mean, this is L.A. all over the place. What's happening? And of course, you see the issues, you see the problems. I mean, that right there, that's L.A.
Wow. And these rallies are happening all over the country at college campuses, at New York and at Chicago. So if you ever realized we're in big trouble now and there is true Jew hate, and we allowed it. Not you and I, but our government allowed this.
Sherry says, how did they organize so quickly? Soros money? Question mark. Probably. A lot of possible Allah Akbaring there. That coming from Anthony. Jeannie says, well, guys, it's L.A. Meanwhile, our borders are still open. We continue to get reports of illegal terrorists being captured. Not everybody, but at the border from Afghanistan, Iran. You have Iranians coming through the Mexican border too now.
Sure do.
These are the scenes that are playing out across America right now. After an attack, it wasn't, once again, hey, something's been done to us. This is in support of that attack. And don't you let anybody say it's not for any other reason than support of what happened. We're taking ours back because the Palestinian people, Hamas, Hezbollah, believe their land is theirs that they say was taken from them in 1948. Israelis have another view on that standpoint. And even if you disagree, you don't go in and start blowing people up like they did. And then I hear Palestinians say, well, the media, the world media, will not show you what Israelis and the Israeli government, as part of their quote occupation, was doing to Palestinians for decades and decades and decades, which is why this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, no, this isn't going anywhere. And I totally agree with you. This is unadulterated hate coming from people who are bred to hate. People from Palestine
to hate Jews.
Bred to hate Jews. They hate Jews. And like I said, I had no idea.
Palestinians work, by the way, on the Israeli side.
Yes.
They're allowed to make money. They're allowed to have jobs. If you're an Israeli, if you're a Jew, and you go over into the Palestinian side, your life will last about 8 seconds.
Correct.
And there are signs as racist as you can imagine. Get out. Get out, Jews. Those things are real.
Well, and Americans and Jews both need to, well, there's Jews in America, but we need to, really wake up and see how many people who hate Jews, hate Americans, hate Christians are all over the world, not allowing us in their country, but we are just allowing everybody here. And someone on the chat line, and I agree with them, you would expect this in LA, but that's not the only place it is. It's on our college campuses all over, that there is true hate for Jews. And the Bible's very clear if what the Bible thinks about Jews and Israel. And so this is pure satanic hate right in our country.
You could be an atheist and you still can look at what happened.
Yes.
2 Saturdays ago and go, that ain't right.
No, it isn't right.
And the fact that there's anybody trying to, once again, get a headline out of what happened, that's when you keep quiet. The only thing the Palestinians should be saying is we're sorry, not pro-Palestine, pro-Palestine. Once again, I've talked to a couple different Palestine friends of mine from Palestine. They're Palestinian. I'm sorry, you don't justify what happened, and there is no way to do it. Jeannie says, I have Jew friends who love Biden. Well, I know we've talked about it, but guess what? We've had some Jewish people on this show. One of the best criminal defense attorneys in America, Scott Rosenblum. Hey, he's not the biggest Trump fan. He's told us on our show, but guess what? He's Jewish, and he's not a Biden fan. He told us right on this show.
But there are.
So it's not everybody.
No.
It's not all the Jews. And I know in the past, when you look at group breakdowns, it seems as if many more Jews have voted for Democrats. And we talked about that last week as well with Stephen Shalowitz. I don't know. It just, this whole thing is nasty. It's dirty. America is involved. We keep going over to Israel now. I did see that the German chancellor is going to Israel today to show some sort of support. And I did see that Zelensky had asked to make an appearance and was told now's not the time.
Yeah,
You
no.
think, what a dumbass, what a
Right.
selfish dumbass that guy is in regards to the money that everything else is going on there. Jill says it's unbelievable, but we should have never doubted it would come to fruition. All we can do is continue to defend our God, no matter how much we are hated for it.
She is spot on.
Didn't I see somewhere that Biden sent some like a small some troops over also to support?
Well, yeah, we do have some troops,
Right.
but I thought that those troops were to work on hostage.
That's what I had heard too, was to go and try and get our hostages.
And Hamas is saying there is no talks right now for hostages.
That's scary.
They said unless Israel stops what they're doing, there is no talks for hostages. But once again, you can thank Joe Biden, who gave the money that he did for hostages to be released in the first place.
Correct.
$6 billion. Now our government and Schumer, of all people, Chuck Schumer, saying we're not going to give a penny of that $6 billion that is sitting in a Qatari bank. We'll see what happens with that. But the problem that you have now is the fact that this is full-fledged. It is ongoing. China's saying things. Palestine is now saying things. Israel has Hezbollah at the north. They've got Hamas at the south. And Hezbollah is now trying to draw Israel into a war at the top or at the north. And Egypt allowed the migrants into their country, or allowed people fleeing Gaza. They were not allowing that last week. So now they are going through. But who's fleeing? Is it Hamas as well? Yeah, you can knock it out. You can extinguish it for a while. You can extinguish it for a while, but it will come back. But you do the best you can. Yeah, Glenn, he said he voted for Biden, but he said he's not a fan of the job that he's doing now. He was pretty clear about that. Our ships are sitting ducks. It's coming. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that because of the ships that we sent. But we're involved. Biden was also asked last night on 60 Minutes, do we really have the resources to be as heavily involved in Ukraine and now in Israel and protect our own country? And of course, he said we were, but that doesn't give me a lot of
No,
hope.
and that's all part of their plan, is they want to wrap all of this together. Money for Ukraine, the little token bit for the border, and all of this into one thing. And they want to give it's literally the military industrial complex that is just chomping at the bits, loving all of this and loving wrapping this all in a political one package. And if we don't want more money going to Ukraine, they're going to wrap money to Israel, all involved in that. And if we don't go along with that, then you're going to be considered an anti-Semite. So they're doing this. I don't know if they're doing this on purpose and they planned all this ahead of time. I have no way of knowing that.
Of course.
Although I think they did.
I do.
See, I do too. You've said that from the beginning, and I do too. And when you research a lot this week, and I researched a lot,
I mean,
looks like they knew, looks like they did this on purpose. And it's these warmongers are all doing this for money. They just will never stop. And they're so excited on the backs of dead children, making more money for their big uniparty military complex.
Well, we'll continue to talk about this part of it too, but this is another part that concerns me deeply, especially when the FBI director, Chris Wray, who is coming out and saying what he is saying now, listen to his warning to Americans. We addressed this a little bit last week when it came to the fact that there are, quote, anti-American groups, terror groups, cells living within our country. And you have the direct, this is 2023. This is America, where your damn FBI director is saying this to all of us right now.
In this heightened environment, there's no question we're seeing an increase in reported threats, and we've got to be on the lookout, especially for lone actors who may take inspiration from recent events to commit violence of their own. So I'd encourage you to stay vigilant, because as the first line of defense, protecting our communities, you're often the first to see the signs that someone may be mobilizing to violence. I'd also ask you to continue sharing any intelligence or observations you may have. And on our end, we're committed to doing the same so that together we can safeguard our communities.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and let's not forget about all that explosive fertilizer that went missing not too long ago.
That's a scary thought, Joe.
Do you
When think
remember
about that? I do remember
what the
that.
poundage was on that?
I
It was
don't know.
something in the
It was-
tons, I thought.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And it's interesting, as Tara says, but this guy would take your guns in a hot minute. Speaking of
For sure.
FBI Director Wray, who has said it in
Yes.
the past,
Mhm.
he has a sketchy record at best when it comes to being a leader and being a leader at that position. So the other thing that you have to worry about now, when does it happen or what does happens? John Rourke, Great American Cleanup, one of our regular guests that we have on, he tells us it blows his mind to see these cartels escorting people of all races, of all ages, from all different countries into the United States with bad intentions. You just look at what Biden did, leaving all the weapons, machinery, ammunition in Afghanistan. You know that that's being used against us. Then you have the situation where you have other countries backing these terrorist groups. I mean, don't think for a second that China, Iran, Russia doesn't want to weaken us in any way that they possibly can. And it's happening. It's happening right now.
It is. And it's very scary because the threats against our country are real. And it's people are already here. The ones that are going to do this to us are already in our country.
Aaron says 30 Iranians have crossed our border this month. I saw that report. And he also says, and that's not just the ones that are here. Those are the only ones that we know about. Tara says, beware the false flag. I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, a lot of people think that, and there's a lot of different ways that people think of the false flag. Some are thinking that we're just supposed to be scared and stay in our house and there's a different thing coming. Other is, we basically covered that a little bit with the false flag, that all of this is tied together. It depends on who's asking or who's telling that. But there is a lot of different false flags.
I almost feel as if, too, that those guys are covering their ass as well.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, if we know something's going to happen, we can blame it on this situation over here in the Middle East and where we are.
Yeah.
We are backing Israel. Publicly, we are.
But you know what? You and I and our listeners back Israel for the right reasons. It could be biblical, but it could also be we saw the destruction. It's not even the same as Ukraine. Our government and our warmongers are backing it just the same way they did Ukraine and wrapping it in a package. Like I said earlier, it's disgusting.
Well, this is FBI Director Wray telling all of us as Americans, beware. Beware. Sleeper cells could launch an attack and we'd like your help. You're the first line of defense. What does that mean? We're the first line of defense. What are we supposed to do? Somebody's coming after us with a gun. Get a call. Hey, 911. Oh, that's right. We don't have dispatchers in a lot of places. We'll be there in 10 minutes. What are we supposed to do?
We're supposed to defend ourselves.
How do you defend yourself?
You better have some guns.
Yeah, it's called your Second Amendment rights.
You betcha.
And now a friend of mine, Glenn, was telling me on a line last week. Glenn, if you're still listening, you can give the updated version that you have an ammunition situation, an ammunition problem that's going on right now as well. Oh, awesome. That ammunition is going to be extremely difficult to get right now because it's strictly for military. Those are some of the reports that are coming out right now. Specific brands only going to the military. So here is what we were told. And I think I can share this. Range USA is saying that they're going to be removing all sale pricing on ammunition. And they said it's because of supply chain issues.
Yeah, they're having a problem getting it.
Lake City has moved all production to military and government only. No more to the civilian market. Think about this. At the same time that the FBI is saying, protect yourselves. Oh, we need you out there. You're our first line of defense. Only no more will be going to the civilian market. And then Hannity Ammunition had an explosion at one of its plants. Yeah, one of those explosions, which also put a dent in the civilian ammunition market. They're saying, these insiders, if you need it, you buy it now. If you can get it, you buy it now.
Or you find somebody locally who makes it.
Yes.
Are you saying there's a chance you know somebody?
I'm saying there's a lot of people out there with that knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and the ability.
Yeah, Aaron exploded suddenly. No, I get it. These are massive situations that are coming down, and then we're being told, be careful, look for yourself. Okay, and if that wasn't enough of everything else that we've got going on, then over the weekend, Biden. It's so hard for me to call him president. It's just, every time it's like, ugh, it's like throw up coming out of my mouth. Biden at a presser. We got a couple things here to get to. Listen to Biden talking about guns. The mixed messaging from this government, nobody communicates. They don't love each other. They don't have each other's back. They don't trust each other. Here's Biden talking about guns, and you shouldn't be able to have too many bullets because all you want to do is kill people. You just want to kill people. Biden on guns from the weekend.
No excuse. Who in God's name needs a weapon with 100 rounds in a chamber? The weapon's only meant for one thing, to kill people.
Thank you. That was Benny Johnson. So you have Joe Biden. I mean, first of all, that just his whole demeanor. If he could, he would take. I know he has said differently, but he would take away our Second Amendment. You don't need multiple bullets. You don't need multiple rounds. And this coming just days after what we saw happen in Israel. Are you kidding me, Joe? How tone deaf is that? Oh, we don't need multiple rounds. If you don't think it can happen in America, it can. And that guy is out promoting that message days after we say that we support Israel, days after 3,000 people killed, including 30 Americans. Mm-hmm. And you're saying, and then your FBI director's see people, connect the dots, go deeper, facts. FBI director's telling us, protect yourselves, be aware. The president saying, you don't need multiple round weapons to kill people. And then we see what happened in Israel. Am I losing my mind here?
No, you are absolutely right. We are being played so hard, and that they want to take our guns away, don't have guns, but then we're being warned we're going to be attacked. I mean, just in the St. Louis area.
Thank God for the work the NRA has done over the years that they have done it.
Well, I mean, you have to be careful. I mean, just over the weekend at a trunk or treat in Kirkwood, which is a suburb of St. Louis. And of course, that particular city is pretty anti-gun. There's a lot of liberals there, but somebody came there with a gun and shooting, and people had to take the person down. So, I mean, and I'm not saying that had anything to do with the war. That just shows you that you have to be armed everywhere you go, even to a trunk or treat.
I'll never forget the interview Tucker Carlson did with the Republican. I'm trying to remember his name. You guys will help me out. Who was sleeping with the enemy? The fake Republican. I can't think of his name. You guys will pop it up in just a second. Tucker Carlson was asking him straight up, why should your security detail have better guns than me and my family? Mm-hmm. Your security detail be able to protect themselves better than my wife and kids could protect themselves. Which one? Yeah, exactly. Sleeping with the enemy. They all are.
Right. Which one?
I think it's Adam. Maybe Adam. He was on the fake J6 committee with Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. It'll come to me in a second.
So, and then this guy could not answer Tucker Carlson. Tucker's like, seriously, what's up? Am I best Tucker? What's going on? Why should my family not be able to do that? Mm-hmm. He could not answer him. And then you have our dumb ass president coming out. I mean, I know he's repeating lines, and the poor guy is an idiot because of how he's being coached and because of his age. Adam Kinzinger. Thank you. Sorry, guys. I should have known that. Thank you, Alex and JM. He couldn't answer him because there is no answer. Yet we're being told again right now, look for protection, help each other out. And then the president at the same time in a press conference hours before is saying, you don't need guns with a lot of rounds. Or Swalwell. Yeah, they're all there.
Both of them.
I'm like, they're all there. Oh man, it's life has changed. I'm glad we can do a show like this where we can get news. We can get facts out and about, and you guys can share the knowledge that you have because you guys are in there as well. Aaron says Swalwell was the one that was sleeping with Fang Fang Bang Bang from the CCC.
That's exactly right. I mean, that in itself, I mean, I know that's old news, but that in itself, the Swalwell was sleeping with the Bing Bing Bang Bang girl. And we are like, what?
I'm sorry. This is a serious show, but that was...
It is, but I mean, but think about it. I mean, that is
the
just...
Swing Swing Bang Bang show. Oh, my God.
It is true. I mean, it's unbelievable that we're laughing about it because it is funny, but I mean, what in the world? I mean, there's so much traitor stuff going on.
So, I mean, if there was ever a time to protect yourself, it's now.
Absolutely.
If you ever had an excuse to protect yourself from any naysayers, it is definitely now. If you've ever been looking for something or one way to help promote or produce your knowledge of safety and guns and anything else, I think now is the time. When the director of the FBI is going to the national public and saying, be aware there could be some attacks now, sympathizers of Hamas, and we already know they've been coming into this country for 5 years.
People do that.
Colonel Joe told us 3 years ago there was going to be attacks. I know when in America, it was still hard to believe. I think it's easy for us to believe it can happen now after we've seen what's happened with the border and all this Israeli situation is done. Outside of seeing the horrible atrocities that have occurred is take our attention off the border, which is still wide open. Attention not going there. Oh yeah. It took the attention off Hunter and Joe's connection as well. And I'm not going to stop beating that drum because it's out there. But now we're being told, protect yourselves.
Yes. Yes. And we should have all along.
In the United States of America.
Yeah. That's pretty.
Colonel Joe also said, get ready for the Civil War that was going to occur at some point in time. Todd, by the way, says 26 cents a round.
Well, and in one way, I really hope there's a Civil
Can your
War.
Dealer get a better pricing than that, Joe? I'm just kidding.
Joe, you look into that. Yeah. Well, and it's and people keep saying on the chat line, I don't know what the problem is, but people and a lot of devices can't like the show, like they can't send likes or hearts.
What?
I don't know, but that's hopefully it'll be fine tomorrow.
Diane says 38 rounds are really expensive.
It is. It is really expensive.
And all this on Biden's watch. Yeah, of course it has.
Correct.
The country has done a nosedive, an absolute nosedive since it took over. And we've talked about that so many times. But you have more and more Democrats now. And I know that I said forever, these Democrats were prideful. I think secretly they would vote for somebody other than Joe Biden, because when the terror starts to hit home, when it gets closer to hit home, you're going to have some of these things. And I think it would start with Jewish Americans as well. I really do. Those who didn't vote for him before, I think would, or at a higher clip than ever before.
Correct.
And Sherry said, that's why you don't give warning shots. I agree.
Right. And but they keep warning them to get out, and they're still not doing anything. Just go over there. Just go protect yourselves and be done and over with.
Mary, interesting point here. And I love you guys, by the way. This is Cancel This, CancelTheShow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks, Pro Joe in the house. You guys help make the show, this podcast, this live time that we have Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central and all the time. And what separates the show, and it is a podcast, as we call it our live cast, is you guys jumping in with your knowledge. You know, you do what you do. You study and you see. We want to bring facts to the table. Yeah, feelings are important, but facts will always be more important than feelings, especially in 2023 and moving forward, because of all the crap that we deal with on a daily basis. Mary says she heard that RFK Jr. said that he would not take guns on Newsmax, I think.
I heard him say that too.
What do you mean by take guns?
Well, he was not the biggest proponent.
He's a liberal. He's a Democrat. He always has been.
Yes.
And I have said that.
He is. And a lot of people were concerned about him because they didn't think his stance on our Second Amendment was strong enough, and that people even felt that he wanted to take our guns. But I have since, like Mary, heard him on Newsmax saying, basically that he's got a stronger stance now for the Second Amendment.
Well, he better, especially running for office.
Yep.
If anybody in the government wanted to push Americans to a point where they felt as if we shouldn't have guns and we shouldn't be able to defend ourselves, and with high quality, let's just say just high quality guns. And then we see what's happening in Israel. There's no way in hell that argument's going to go over. Now, of course, we'll see media. If there, God forbid, another school shooting or something of that nature to take the news away, then you start to go through that. And that's sad and it's horrible. And I hate to hear it. And it's every parent's worst nightmare, family, anything of that. God forbid it happening. Our schools should be protected anyway.
Correct. And we know that a lot of these school shootings are done on purpose as well, for the very reason that you said, to distract us. We know that. It's done on purpose. They find mental. I mean, look at what happened down with Hillary Clinton and her friend down there in Broward County. There's no coincidences who the people that they pick. You can track it down when something else comes. And I've said this on the show before. I have a friend that will literally call me and say, okay, we're about ready for a school shooting. Give me 2 days. And it happens every time.
The news cycle has so much in it. On a daily basis, we continue to talk about all different kinds of things that are happening in the world. I showed you Joe Biden's sound about running again, and it was not. If you compared Donald Trump, why he's running, it's America. It's about inflation. It's about protection of America. It's about closing the border. It's about safety. It's about increasing our military. It's about increasing our police. It's about making things better for Americans, like he did in his first presidency. And then Biden asked, and he's talking, bringing Europe together, Ukraine. It's such a comedic situation to think that this guy is not being pressed by any of these reporters, by any of the national media, and that's his reason for running again. Nancy says women learn to use weapons to protect themselves. Yeah, and there's fantastic guns that we have as well that we have shown that they're very concealable. They're very easy to keep. Metro Shooting Supply. Stephen King comes on the show. You got to give him a call. If you have any questions about anything, let them know that you heard about them from canceltheshow.com. The whole situation that we're dealing with now as a country, it's going to get worse. There's more crazy crap that's happening every day. And of course, leave it to DRC to say the Great Reset BS. It's all going down. JM says, I have a feeling that he is going to have a meltdown on camera and people will see that he is truly a tyrant, talking about Biden. And Biden refused, this coming from Renee, to let RFK Secret Service protection.
Correct.
Maybe that helped him become stronger on the Second Amendment.
You know what? That's a really good point that she made, because he probably didn't think it was going to happen to him either. But now he can't have Secret Service. So what is he going to do? He has to protect himself. So he now knows how people feel about it. I mean, we don't all walk around with Secret Service or a security detail.
No, heck
so
no.
We have to arm ourselves. And you have to keep your head on a swivel. I mean, there's so many crazy people out there. And you know why? Somebody on the chat line was asking, why is there so many crazy people? And you talked about this a little bit last week. There's two reasons why there's more crazy people than there ever have been before, is because they're literally letting out people from insane asylums from other countries, and they're coming up through our border. And we do have a mental health crisis here in America. And it's not because you can't get resources. It's because if you can have the crazy asses people, they don't put them in asylums anymore. And so you have just people walking around. You've got insane people from our country. You've got insane people from other countries. You've got people coming in that hate Jews, hate Americans, and they're all over the place.
Well, and then you've got Joe Biden leading America right now. I know we all have different things in our life that affect us, and this thing may get us going more so than something else. I try to put myself as a family member who lost somebody in Israel, or a family member who has a hostage situation that they're dealing with right now.
Yes. And
Joe Biden is out parading around like he is, and with no regard. And I know we talked to Mark Schmitz, and we saw Mark Schmitz's situation, the president, when the bodies of our 13 military members coming back home
Mhm.
after dying in an alleged bomb. Of course, at the Kabul airport, we've now heard other stories that many of them were alive after the bombing, and how they died, they can't get straight answers. And how Mark Schmitz was there with the president, with Biden, and Biden's looking at his watch and, looking at the ground, not really concerned or showing any sort of emotional remorse for these families who were standing there. And then now we're dealing with this situation. And then over the weekend, he's not out constantly talking about how we're going to get our hostages back.
Mm-mm.
We stand with Israel. I mean, he's refusing to say that Iran is supporting these terrorist groups. We have proof of it. It's not just me repeating information. And then you have Joe Biden and all of his blunders. We already showed you one of his quotes. Did you see Joe tripping on stairs again?
Yeah. Does he
on
ever-
Friday? I mean, check this video out. And it's bad enough when it's happened once, twice, 3 times. Here he was again from last week, going up. Look at the dumbasses clapping for him. Look at those dumbasses in the background clapping for that.
They really are.
Shame on you in the orange shirts.
Yes.
Seriously. Oh, they're.
Oh, he's just so great. He's so great. I can't.
I mean, look, and then he's trying to
understand it.
joke about it, and he's laughing and smiling like it's funny.
It's like everybody was waiting for him to fall, and then
30
when he didn't,
Americans
they're
are
like,
dead,
"All
13
right."
hostages, and he's laughing about falling upstairs.
Well, and you wonder, Cindy's saying they were paid to be there, and it makes you wonder.
They're clapping for him.
They would have to be paid to be there, or you're just a stupid
Look at them.
idiot.
Look at them. They're clapping. They think it's all funny.
Oh, we
and-
love you, Joe. Oh, we love you, Joe.
I mean, the
Gosh.
guy. This isn't the first. This is like the 4th time.
Mm. And you know what? People are getting. I was in Schnucks yesterday, and there was somebody talking that I knew. It was one of the kids, one of my old neighbors was talking about how, Joe Biden is so great. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And how do you think that's great?
Hey, is this Secret Service in the back? This guy's in the suits. Look at him stop once he falls. It's like, oh, wait a second. What's?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sure it was.
look at that guy. I mean,
You can almost tell who in the background was waiting for him to fall and who was glad he didn't.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I'm
And-
sorry. People clapping for that. I mean, they're clapping like, oh, yeah, we love you, President.
And
You're
look
the
at the
best.
guy in the back. He's like, number 1. He's a number 1 idiot.
Yeah, I saw that. Chris says Trump put out post about presidential Olympics showing Donald Trump walking upstairs and Sleepy Joe falling down. I saw it. It was funny. Greg says, sorry, Pro Joe. I wonder if Joseph has dropped down the list as a baby name. No, because of Joe Biden and Pro
I
Joe.
would imagine so, yeah.
Oh, speaking of baby names but that's Biden really quick. And and we're going to get to a Biden quote here in just a second. But once again, that's not on your national media.
No.
Because they're not worried about educating you in news. They're just not. They want to give you what they want, which is sad. It's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Todd, Gog and Magog, that is Russia and Iran, which I referred to earlier when it comes to biblical prophecy as starting the end of the world, which ultimately is a battle won by Jesus. But I know not everybody agrees with that. Anyway, we'll get to Biden's quotes in a second, but speaking of baby names, a town in Ireland, most popular baby name in 2022.
Okay.
What do you think it is?
Joe.
Conor McGregor, something Irish, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think it would be something like that?
You would think so.
Sean.
Flynn.
Mm-hmm. With you there. Good old. Yes, something of that nature. The most popular boy's name in this town in Ireland, and I cannot remember the name of it. Not Colin, not Patrick, not Steve, certainly not Victor. That may win in Russia. This is going to blow your mind. Muhammad.
Oh, what the F?
Muhammad.
That tells
most popular boy's
name
in a super Irish town in Ireland. Yeah, it should have been Donald.
Yes. Or Liam.
Muhammad. The whole point behind that is showing you what's happening across the world.
Correct. And their goal. The goal.
You can look that up.
is to procreate in every town in the world to have more Mohammeds than you would have a little Joey. And it's not because they just love children. It's because they want to take over and hurt all of us. It's so
Well,
obvious.
in their
the
mind, it's
country.
not hurting. It's
It's following their religion and their
Correct.
thoughts.
correct.
They are being bred to hate. That's the religion. And some of it you can say it's not the religion, but there's even UN schools that are over in the area that is literally teaching these small children that are now 5, 8, 10, that just in 10 years to come and really hurt Americans. It's coming, and we just have our border just flat on open, and they're all coming in.
Well, these are the kind of things that are happening across the world. Bindi says it's been the most popular name in London for a while as well.
Yes, it has been.
It was also difficult to find alleged terrorists because so many people have the same name.
Correct. That's done on purpose too. This is all done on purpose.
So then you see what's happening with the Middle East, and then you see the attack on Israel, and then you see countries aligning, and then you see biblical prophecy, and then you see where America is with just a pushover, a cream puff with no brain as the president. It shouldn't be surprising to see what is happening. And then, of course, the reason I believe it's planned too is our country will do, or not just our country, but deep state will do, as Donald Trump says, deep state, not just us, will do anything and everything to keep him out of office because he knows the secrets and he has the power and he has, more importantly, the will to stop as much of it as he possibly can.
Correct.
Deosha says,
that's Donna.
Oh, is that Donna? Okay. Do you think that the world will change if Trump is elected? I don't know if the world will change, but I can promise you this much. I think America would change.
Yes.
In regards to our responses, how we are doing things. And a lot of times we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We don't. We see the after effects.
Correct.
But there is no doubt in mind anywhere that Donald Trump didn't have this world on standby, on notice when he was president. China kept their mouth shut. They sat back. They had to deal with certain things. America was flourishing.
Absolutely.
Oil was flowing. Prices were good. There was no inflation. Our economy was a whole lot better. Our border was a whole lot more secure than what it is now. So yeah, because of what I saw before, I would have to think 100%, since we're asked the question. Yeah, I do think our country would be in a lot better position because we have seen it happen. How could you not think it, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, and Glenn says on here, Muslims by sheer numbers will eventually dominate other religions just by sheer population. And that's the goal. I mean, it's the goal. We tell our Americans, abort your babies, don't have any kids. Millennial in record numbers, my kids even talk about this, are not having kids at all because they think the world is such a terrible place and the economics and this and that. In the meantime, Muslims are having Mohammeds by the millions. And to our one kid on a street now. I mean, it's crazy what's happening, and it's all done by design.
Mary says she wants America independent again when it comes to energy. Yeah, no, I agree. Of course, everybody wants that. Greg says Trump is the fuck around and find out president, the FAFO. If you see those shirts around and you don't know already, that's exactly what that means.
Yep.
And Jeannie says, just like the Bible says, they will flood the West. It's interesting too when you see, because a lot of times politicians will say things, whether they mean them or not, but Lindsey Graham has already told Iran, if you escalate this war, we're coming for you. And he made it very clear. He said it on Meet the Press. It goes back. That stuff is plain as day. It is black and white. And we already know Iran meeting with Hezbollah on Saturday. That's a major FU to the United States. It's a major FU to Israel is who it is, especially when they're still cleaning blood out of houses and streets and cars and cleaning up dead children and taking care of all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, Robert, I know that Lindsay loves war and everybody knows that and everybody talks about it.
Oh, he's so giddy right now.
But
Lindsey Graham
he's still
so giddy.
But what would you say, Robert? What would you say if Iran escalated the war? Should America not be coming for them?
That's a good question. I mean, it is a good question. And that's really what's happening.
We've already said we're going to have Israel's back. come hell or high water.
But Israel isn't even having their own back right now. What are they waiting for? Now, I am not a military
What is
specialist.
who waiting for?
Well,
Israel is launching all kinds of offensives right now.
right, but it's still,
And it's not, they said they will not stop. They declared war on Hamas.
Mhm.
That's not going to stop.
Well, I hope not. I hope.
Would you want your country, if you lived in Israel, to stop after what just happened to you?
Hell no. No, absolutely not. They need to keep doing it. They need to wipe that place off the map.
And who decides when Hamas is wiped off? Israel does.
I hope. But
So if they're
I hope
declaring it, they decide it for themselves, unless they're in. Once again, this is too much for Joe Biden to understand. We know that.
Mhm.
So who is really in charge? Who is involved in what we're saying? Who's involved with how we're handling these situations? Todd says someone needs to smack Egypt around a little bit as well. Egypt did, as I said in the beginning of the show, they were closing their borders so that Hamas couldn't get anywhere. But the problem is they were mixed in with civilians. And this is the problem.
Mhm.
It's the poison and the candy too. You may want the candy, but you're going to get the poison too. So you either lock it down so Israel can go do what they got to do, and then they tell the innocent people to get out of town, leave, get wherever you are. Palestinians have told us on this show there's nowhere for them to go. And then, of course, Israelis say that's a lie. They know exactly where they can go for safety, but they choose to say that. They stick with the militants, and that's who Israel's going after, which is why there will be no end. We've already kind of agreed on this. We hate it, but we agree. But Israel's going to bomb the crap out of anything and everything that they can until they feel better.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you can go after, and they say they've already gotten a couple high commanders in the, quote, Hamas leadership group. But my God, I don't know when is the end.
When they're wiped out.
Yeah, but once again, what decides when they're wiped out?
Well,
How do you know if they're, quote, wiped out?
well, there's nobody left.
Jeannie reminds everybody the innocent Palestinians were given an area to go to, but they're refusing to go there.
Correct.
That's what I had heard.
Mhm.
And when that happens, then, of course, guess what? There's going to be casualties. And then the media will spin that and show it as what's happening. Once again, the United States has said that Israel has an opportunity to go defend itself. Several countries have said that. The only countries, once again, keep score, here's your scorecard, that are against it are China, Iran, and Russia stayed quiet for now. And then you add the whole BRICS situation because they're all business partners.
Mhm.
And we all know what makes the world go round. It's money.
Correct.
That's where allegiances lie. It's money, 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 money. Robert says we couldn't handle Afghanistan and neither could Russia. Iran is that plus. I don't know what you mean by that plus. And once again, Diana says, if you hear it on television, it's a lie. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I agree with Diana.
We've
very
broken that
much
down
with
so
it.
many times.
We have. It's, you can't believe anything they say. You have to listen to all the sources, liberal, Republican, all of that. And then you have to even go way deeper and find out people that are on the ground, people that you know that are there, what's going on, because it's just all a lie. It's all government run propaganda.
So how much will we have when it comes to the involvement? We had a comment earlier, just watch where politicians, if you can follow their money on where they're investing, it may show you where this war is going or what's happening because they're in a war. Israel has declared war. And it's interesting. I was just looking at Fox and their top story is you're about to see what Israel does best. And that's not sit back.
Mm-hmm.
That's go after. That's take down what they see in front of them. It's okay. And it's interesting too, because when you look at the world perspective, Russia in the past has played both Israel and Hamas, and Putin has picked the side of the terrorists in the past. But what is he going to do now because of what's happening with Ukraine and Russia, which has not stopped as well?
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh my God, it is such a convoluted just mess of everything that is happening in this country. Also, Todd says, I have friends out there. They're dual citizens. Terry said that they're trying to get out. The United States has rented ships. I think Governor DeSantis in Florida had a ship rented where they were trying to get people out of areas where they were fleeing the Middle East. Mary says, hey, ask God for wisdom on everything. And Nancy says, I heard that if we're at war at an election time, the sitting president stays in.
Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit.
I don't remember where we had that. I thought it had to be a specific type of war.
I believe so. But with everything that they're doing and all of the military complex that I was talking about earlier, I could see that happens. That sounds far-fetched, but I would not be one bit surprised.
Well, it would be the only way to keep Biden in office.
Correct. Because I think this time.
Because also, I mean, there was polling over the weekend that had 4 more states where Trump is not only beating Biden, but beating Biden by double digits. And these are coming from very left-leaning organizations.
Correct.
So it's probably about 20%, if not 30%.
Yeah.
Glenn says Israel is going to eradicate Hamas and then take back Gaza. That's their goal. That's what they're saying publicly. That's what they're telling the world. Iran sees that, and Iran is tied to Hezbollah and Hamas. They'll do everything they can to stop it. They're not just going to say, okay, no, they're going to respond. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
Mindy's saying,
I don't understand that.
Well, that's never happened in previous times of war. I believe that she's meaning is that the president, that there wasn't an election. And I agree that has never happened before, but I could see it happening now. They will do anything to keep Trump out. They'll do anything.
You got me thinking on that one.
Me too. Because
there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, think about it. There's no doubt this Israel-Palestine war is not going to be tied up anytime soon, if ever.
No.
Then you think to what's happened just recently. Israel is going to continue on and on and on. Other countries are going to get involved. All these things happen. They play out behind closed doors. Who is with who? Who's going to align with who? How is this going to draw somebody else in? And you know what else has been very quiet? Very, very quiet. Don't we all believe that China will try to take over Taiwan?
Yes.
And we're involved. We always try to be one step ahead. We really do. And you have to look at the complexity of all these situations. If we're going to be involved in Israel somehow, some way, I know we got a couple ships there, but we're worried about Ukraine and Russia. And then now we've got this whole situation going on in Israel, in the Middle East, and our attention and money associated there. Don't forget for a second that China wants Taiwan. We've heard several quotes and comments about us trying to put together our own semiconductor facilities because we're worried that the massive one in Taiwan could become compromised. The only way that could become compromised would be if China rolled into town and decided to take over. And if you're China, all of this other stuff that's going on keeps America thinking about other things. I just lots of distractions. It makes me think that, once again, everything is planned out. These are super intelligent people. China's economy is not great. They need to do something to help their own economy. And that shows you what America is. We have so much debt to China. We're in a horrible situation. China's no better. But they got the slips on us. Jeannie says, that's what I was thinking. World at war. Todd says the chip facilities, they suck water and they're putting it into Arizona that has no water. Tell me why. Well, I thought they were taking water out of Arizona. Feel free to jump in on that. You can as well. Glenn tries to add a little levity to the situation. Release the killer hornets.
Right?
Good
Really?
God, help us out some way, somehow. By the way, this is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. Special thanks to Complete Auto Body Repair. Once again, Complete Auto Body Repair, 7 climate-controlled facilities throughout the St. Louis area. everything that your car could possibly need, want, desire is there, everything from A to Z. Several of our listeners and viewers have gone on, taken their cars there, including Lizzie, with all kinds of positive stories to relay. Check out Complete Auto Body Repair. You can look them up at CompleteAB.com, but be sure to mention that you heard about them at Cancel This. They'll take special care of you as well, CancelTheShow.com. Also, they're looking for employees. They have towing companies as well. They've got the auto body shops. They're looking for salespeople. They're looking for HR people. They're looking for people to work inside the facilities. And of course, at the heart of everything they do is technicians. You're not going to find a better place where you're going to get better money than a Complete Auto Body Repair. Also, Strategic Air Services. You can go to strategicairservices.net. Friends of mine over the weekend, they flew out and watched the United States soccer team play Germany. Saw them come in here. So they flew out there. They were able to get a flight. Not have to worry about TSA, not have to worry about flying commercial, and they're not multimillionaires. So they were able to do it and have an experience of a lifetime. If you're flying private, work people, companies, businesses flying people out of here, they can get in, get out, depending upon the flight that you're taking. It's strategicairservices.net. It's where we broadcast live out of the Chesterfield Valley in the St. Louis, Missouri area. Also, special thanks to Experienced Real Estate Partners, Kathy Hilbig Strick, Steve Strick, for everything that they're doing when it comes to real estate. They join us on Wednesdays. You're not going to find anybody that's going to advise you better, that's going to go to bat for you, that's going to be your team member than that group. Give them a call. 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD. They'll take care of you. If you have any questions, if you're not ready to do anything, call them. There's no attachments. There's no pressure. They're going to do everything they possibly can. And when it comes to the cannabis industry, you're not going to find a better company now than Route 66. They sell hundreds of products that they create themselves. It's all part of their vertical scene. They will take care of you. They've got 5 locations, including locations in the St. Charles area, St. Charles County. You guys asked for it. We got you that going on. Plus, in the West County area, and they're in Dogtown. Anything that you want from that standpoint, check out Route 66. We'll be talking with them every Wednesday as well, getting those people in our studio. So we're grateful for those advertisers and those sponsors. This is Cancel This, CancelTheShow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. Intern Chase is in the house as well. Appreciate it when he has a chance to come on in. He surprised me this morning. I walked in, I was like, oh, Chase is in town.
No, I was so excited. I knew you would be too.
So we continue to talk about the disaster that's going on in the Middle East, and we'll continue to take your comments about what's happening from a world standpoint as we try to bring facts to the table that you're just not going to see in local news. You're just not going to see in national news. We try to have educational discussions. We bring information. You guys are a part of this as well, and we invite you in. At the same point in time, when all that we see is happening, excuse me, around the world, we still have our own massive issues in the United States, right? Immigration, inflation, gas prices soon to be sky high, safety not as good as it should be in this country. And then, oh yeah, we've got all kinds of infighting between the Republicans and Democrats, and the Republicans have their own infighting because we're still trying to get a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
There's still no speaker. Excuse me. So Kevin McCarthy gets ousted. All right, fine. Who's going to be the next guy? Everybody thought it was going to be Jim Jordan. No, well, then it was Stephen Scalise, and he couldn't get enough votes. Then Jim Jordan seems to be the overwhelming pick. And then now word is circulating over the weekend that Jim Jordan may have difficulties within the Republican Party getting enough votes as well. So the Democrats aren't going to vote because they know the Republicans have issues. They're not going to vote for Republicans. If they did, it would take some serious backdoor dealing. But Republicans didn't like and thought that Kevin McCarthy was dealing too much with Democrats. So now the word is that Jim Jordan is going to have problems being elected, Lizzie.
I know.
So who is it going to be?
Well, and they keep stalling and stalling and stalling. They're not even going to vote until what, tomorrow?
Interesting. We do this show out of the St. Louis, Missouri area, and J.M. Grigsby says you can thank Ann Wagner for that, U.S. representative, who represents the area that we broadcast out of.
Yeah, that's not good.
So I don't know what JM saying that about Ann. If you say that, you're entitled to your opinion, but give us some specific reasons why.
Well,
that would be great.
JM, give us some specific reasons, but she typically doesn't vote for someone in the Freedom Caucus. Jim Jordan isn't exactly in the Freedom Caucus, but he's very conservative. He would be a much better pick over McCarthy. She's a McCarthy person. She'll be a holdout.
Yeah, but guess what? But McCarthy is backing Jim Jordan and telling everybody they need to vote for Jim Jordan.
Well, good. I hope.
And he's always, and guess what? Jim Jordan was a guess who supporter? Kevin McCarthy. Jim Jordan was all about Kevin McCarthy. And guess what? Donald Trump supported Kevin McCarthy, and Donald Trump has supported, guess who? Guess who? Jim Jordan.
Yeah, I think he needs to, though.
Yet you have Republicans, and all they need is 4. They've got 4 can say screw you, but if it's 5, then Jim Jordan doesn't get elected.
Right.
And allegedly right now it's much more than 4 that don't want Jim Jordan as the House Speaker.
I don't think all.
And here you go again. I'm sorry, the Republicans, you look like dumbasses, as I've said from the get-go.
They do look like dumbasses, but thank God it's not an election year. So there is some grace period to this dumbassery that's going on. So I don't think we're in as big a trouble as we would be if it was next year.
Well, of course not. But it's still not good.
Correct.
And what's the end game?
Yeah.
What's the end goal? I do think it's clear. America is 100% when it comes to Republicans and all the polling behind a Jim Jordan. If you care, let's just say the average American is not paying attention to who the House Speaker is. They just aren't.
Nope.
But for those who care, you know who Jim Jordan is. And for those who care, it's overwhelming from a Republican standpoint. Yeah, he'd be the guy. So why do you have so many Republicans that still don't want him? Elected Republicans.
Correct. It's the elected Republicans because he will go in and mess up.
It's 4 words: bought and paid for. Bought and paid for.
Yep.
Some people call it the uniparty. So how do you stop it? Well, you don't, because when you get elected, you sign up with groups. They can be lobbyists, they can be PACs, they can be whatever, but they own you. You need money to get elected. You just need money to get elected in America. It's a fact for the most part. So once you get elected, you have to take care of those interests. And if you want the money to continue to come in, why do you think so many people want to jump into politics? I'm just going to tell you this. I've asked several state reps, they get their salaries like $24,000 or something.
Yeah, it's 34 now.
And many of them don't have second jobs.
I don't even know how you do that.
You don't. And here's why. Because you know that if you can continue to climb that, you get, I'm sorry, you get connections. You can vote for certain things to happen in certain areas that could line your pockets. I'm not saying that all politicians are bad. They're not. I know. I just know a lot of them from working with them for 24 years.
Yeah.
There are ways that you make money. And when you're making money, and look at all, I mean, we've talked about how Schumer and Biden and Pelosi and so many others have become multi-millionaires as politicians, not business people, politicians. So they're bought and paid for. This is what you have in America. And we wonder why we have so many issues and so many problems of holding people accountable.
It is. It's so sad. It really is so sad that when you think about it, your brain explodes because what can you really do? You have to vote, but it's discouraging wondering what happens to that vote. I mean, the whole thing is just one big globalization unit.
Is Jim Jordan going to be elected?
I hope so. I really hope so.
I really don't know.
I know. I don't think anyone knows. Maybe that. Well, I take that back. I just contradicted myself. The uniparty up there, they already know the end game up there that we don't know.
And Peter says hi from Dubai. Hope I saw a picture of Peter. Peter, thank you for jumping on the show live. I know we have listeners all over the world. You have now added Dubai to the list, so we're grateful for that. Also, Robert says, and you can spend out of campaign donations. Chris says, your Missouri rep is one of them. Excuse me. Is one of them that are voting against Jim Jordan. You all need to be calling Ann Wagner's office because she is voting. She would be one of those 4 to 5 holding Jim Jordan back.
Yes.
So her number has been listed and posted as well. Kathy
posted the number, and we'll say what the number is. So if you're only listening and you want it, it's 1-202-225-1621.
So it's not 213. It should be 202.
I don't know. Did I read it wrong?
I see 213.
Well, maybe there's 2 numbers. I see 2 different ones. I see 202. 225-1621. But it's been posted a couple times. But you guys can Google her number, even if we said it wrong. But I agree with Todd and Kathy. You do need to call her. If you're from Missouri, especially the St. Louis area, and a lot of our listeners are, you are. And if you're not from St. Louis, look and find out who your rep is there and find out how they're voting. And if they're holding it up, give them a call.
And if Ann Wagner doesn't want Jim Jordan, who does she want and why?
That's a good question. And you'll never get her on the show. She won't do shows.
She might. I've never tried.
Well, maybe we ought to try.
I have contacts. I know Ann.
Okay, well, let's call her. She'll come on. She comes on very few shows. She only comes on shows that she gives pre-questions that they're pre-said, and it might not even be one of those questions. You can't ask her anything she doesn't want to be asked.
Yeah,
but we should try to.
Yeah, I'll look into that. No, I will. I'll look into that. Also, another possibility has emerged, and this is the whole Donald Trump situation that we talked about, is the speaker doesn't have to come from the House. The speaker could come from somewhere else.
Correct.
But where are you going to get a speaker if there is a problem with certain reps that are bought and paid for that's going to be approved? And once again, you have that 4 rep minimum because of the advantage that you have right now in the House. If every Democrat votes against your selection, then you can only have 4 Republicans vote on top against who it is and still get your pick in. And now that McCarthy is gone, the Democrats, of course, aren't going to vote. They're like, yeah, let these Republicans eat each other alive.
Yes.
Because they're not going to come to an agreement. This is bad. And I said it from the get-go. This is bad. And I'm sorry. And it continues to be bad. They've got to figure this out. Get Jim Jordan in there somehow, some way this week. And if Republicans are still going against Jim Jordan, who are they saying they want and why?
Right. Matt Gaetz will have done nothing if it just stays like this. But if we get in Jim Jordan over McCarthy, then it was worth all of this. It was. Okay, so we look like a dumbass for a little bit, but who cares?
Vic has a challenge. What is my challenge?
Your challenge is to get Ann Wagner on the show.
Yeah,
That's
I know
challenge.
Ann. I mean, I can ask her, but
ask her. And see, and we'll tell the truth. Okay, yeah, she's going to come on, but we're only able to ask these questions. That's what I would love to see, is that she can come on and she doesn't give us a scripted thing. I would love to have her on.
DRC says Wagner would fit in on The View.
Yeah, kind of. She really would.
But I do know a lot of other politicians and people who like Ann Wagner and feel that she is a good conservative in D.C.
I personally don't know anyone. I don't know any other politician or any good conservative that likes her. I truly don't. I don't know any. And if I'm wrong, say it on the chat line if you like Ann Wagner. But the circles that I go around, I don't know a soul that likes her.
No, I get it. I hear you. It's fair. It's fine. But that's another problem that they've got going on right now. Glenn gets his comment in, says that's Ann Aquanet Wagner with her perfectly hairsprayed coif from the 80s, so to speak, I guess. Would that be the right way?
That would be right. She uses her Aquanet.
Would that be the right way to say what's happening? From that standpoint. I don't know. I don't know.
And Sherry already called. Ann Wagner's, and they just said to her that they will pass along the message. So a whole bunch of people call and pass along the message.
Well, the only way you can get responses from people to anything in this life is to be persistent and be patient, be polite, be persistent, be patient and polite. But you have to continue to go on and on and on with everything that's happening. And you have to continue to make your point. That's the only way you're going to get your points heard. And even sometimes after that, it's not enough. And you're going to continue to hear more national headlines with what's happening in Israel and the plan that the United States and Israel has. I mean, the United States Secretary Antony Blinken is over there now. He's been discussing what's going to happen with their situation on the ground. So now we are definitely involved. And the world perspective is, we are involved with everything that's happening over there right now. So that's going to take a lot of the headlines. It's not going to be as big with what's happening with the House right now. And maybe as much attention won't be put on what's happening with the Republicans not being able to I guess, figure things out, especially as Israel continues airstrikes. One killed, 5 people, and those kinds of things are going to continue to be reported. But we do have U.S. officials not only on the ground in Israel, U.S. officials are in Egypt. They're as close to the border with they're as close to the border with Gaza as conditions are allowing. So all of these issues are going to be taking the headlines. And then, of course, now you have the Palestinian Authority, their prime minister, who had dinner with Hezbollah on Saturday night, in updates that have just come out about 30 minutes ago, saying Israel needs to stop their airstrikes now and their blockade, or else. Those kind of comments, those kind of situations,
Or
a lot of times
else.
can be hot air. But at the same point in time, we already know that this is going to continue on. How involved is America going to be? What does it mean we have Israel's back? Do you want to be involved in this? Is it going to put America in an even worse situation?
Yeah, I don't even know. I do not want to be involved because of how they will still link it. As I said at the first hour, they will link it with Ukraine. They will make it, they will put it in a package. They will link it with Ukraine, link it with some border money, but primarily it's just funneling money. I would rather not be involved. And here's why. I feel it's awful what has happened over there. I've cried over what's happened over there, but this has been happening for centuries. I don't want it coming over here. I don't. Now, I may think differently if I was Jewish, and I may think differently if, in fact, one of my loved ones were over there. I may think completely different because I'd sure as heck want somebody to come over if my family was over there as hostages. But as a whole, I don't want war on our soil. And that's what would happen. I don't want it here.
As we know, Joe Biden is the guy that's leading our country. We showed you falling all over himself up steps again. Here's Joe Biden with another crazy comment from the weekend, comparing himself to the old, poor family members. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? He's said he's just like an old, poor relative, which shows that Joe Biden has no idea what's happening. He has no idea what our foreign policy is, yet he is pushed out there to try to speak on our foreign policy when he is clearly clueless about everything, and I mean everything that's going on.
No, I'm not joking. You lose your job, you get beat up, you got the whole different circumstance. Well, I tell you what, I've been here every time you invited me. Be careful, I'm like a poor relative. I show up when I'm invited. No, I'm not joking. You lose
Listen to this again. You can go, Joe.
your job, you get beat up, you got the whole different circumstance.
Remember Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I've been here every time you invited me. Be careful, I'm like a poor relative. I show up when I'm invited. No, I'm not joking.
A poor relative that shows up when he's invited. We've got 30. I repeat, you've got 30 Americans killed and 13 missing, unaccounted for, or being held as hostages. And he is out in front of a graphic that looks like the Ukrainian flag. Human rights is what it says. And this was also from the same press conference that he was talking about. You don't need guns with multiple rounds. And then he's talking, as you see right there, about I don't even know. It's like he took a question from the audience, and tried to make fun with it. That's who Israel has to rely on. Joe Biden, Anthony Blinken, are soft as F military generals that have come out in support of Christopher Wray. Protect yourself.
I think Biden missed his calling as a stand-up comic.
Oh, yeah. He really thinks he's funny. I mean, he really, really does think he's funny. And I see them and in all seriousness, I was yesterday at a rehab facility visiting my mom who just had surgery, and they were all primarily elderly people. And most of them had better faculties than he does. I mean, and no one in this rehab place would I think should be the president of the United States. They're older, they're in pain, they're having a hard time. And here he is, the president. And I'm not talking about age, because you look at Donald Trump. I think that he is very coherent and one of the smartest people for this particular job. But he literally looks like he should be in a rehab facility for very hurting older people. I mean, and here he is, the president. It is just, I couldn't help thinking that yesterday when I was looking around, that most of them could be president better than he could. But Obama and those type of people have him right where they want him, ruining this country. And a lot of people think I'm exaggerating when I say that Obama is one of them. Obama, if he could, he would be marching in the streets in LA, Chicago, more so in Chicago, for the Palestinians. He absolutely would be doing that.
Well, he might be. The problem that you also have now is that the deadline expired for Palestinians to flee Gaza as Israeli troops are massing at the border. And they might as well be wearing their FO shirts right now, Israel, because they're not going to stop.
Good.
They declared this war against Hamas, and they're now firing thousands of rockets at residential areas, or at least they're going to be, because of what Hamas did to Israel 2 Saturdays ago when they were blowing up residential areas and literally butchering citizens. Think about this: at least 4,200 people have been killed on both sides now. 1,400 Israeli civilians and soldiers and 30 Americans. Now you're seeing Palestinian health authorities, and whether the numbers are true or not, this is what they're reporting. They say that over 2,800 Palestinians have now been killed and over 10,000, almost 11,000 wounded. But you've got 30 Americans dead. I've said it a lot today, and 13 unaccounted for. Where is the massive coverage on that? Where is the massive effort to get them back?
Mm-hmm.
If that's how it is, and when you leave a country for now on, I mean, who would want to travel? I know lots. I want to travel here. I want to travel there. Really? How can you even feel comfortable traveling to the Middle East anywhere anymore?
Right.
Really? I'll ask Stephen after the show today, too. I know he travels all over the place. How can you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, especially right now. I wouldn't feel comfortable at all going there. Even in the airlines, you have to be careful on the airlines. Like last week, I had numerous people ask me, what was that FAA alert? And what did that all mean? Our airlines are being cautious right now, more cautious now than since 9/11.
Well, it's interesting, too, because there's also reports now that the Israeli government is distributing thousands of rifles to civilians who live near Gaza and the Lebanon borders. They're arming citizens. That's right. Israel is now arming citizens to protect themselves. Think our government would do that?
No, I don't.
Hell no, they wouldn't.
No, they would not.
We're talking about 10,000 rifles being distributed to citizens living in towns in the northern and southern borders, because that's where the attacks can occur, from Hezbollah in the north and Hamas in the south. Their Israeli Minister of National Security says that they purchased the rifles. Wonder where they purchased the rifles from last week. And then they expedited the process for hundreds of thousands of Israelis to be approved to carry firearms. So somebody's making hundreds of thousands of guns and making money.
Mm-hmm.
Are those companies in the United States? Is that what Glenn was telling us about earlier? The intel that he got, they were being issued allegedly to civilian security teams, and allegedly some of them were able to fight off terrorists last week by using only pistols, but now they've got rifles. And you've got Lebanon. They're in the area and they're pro-America. Allegedly they were taking out Hezbollah rockets last week. So, it still hasn't. It's only upped its game in regards to where this happens with this war right now. And America's involved, and we still have 13. And of course, Robert, you bring up a good point: Syria and what's going to happen with Syria and where they're doing what they're doing right now. Lisa says, I have clients who flew out this AM for Italy, 28-day trip. They're a little nervous. Yeah, I guess I would be.
Yeah.
And Megan says, and I know that Megan Marie says, and they, I'm assuming she means media, keeps referring to American hostages as a handful, like they're M&Ms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
Yeah, you just gave me chills. And that's and I
yes.
keep bringing that up because I'm
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I grew up in the 80s. You don't leave hostages behind.
No.
You take out countries if you need to. You do what has to be done. You put the grip on it behind the scenes. And we could grip a whole lot harder behind the scenes with a lot of areas without, and I repeat, without doing something very publicly
Mhm.
to embarrass them if you have to worry about international relations. But screw them. I mean, we have Americans there, 30 killed, 13 missing. And you're right. And a handful of
And a
hostages. I
handful.
did hear that comment.
Yes, I did too. And like she said, like M&Ms, like they don't matter. It's sad. It is so sad. I can't even
I've asked that question 2 or 3 times today. Does it upset people as much as it does me? American families, where is our loved one?
right.
What's our State Department doing?
Mhm.
And it makes me feel as if it's a similar situation to Mark Schmitz and the other 12 families who lost their loved ones when they were dealing with them at the Kabul airport and couldn't get any sort of a response. They couldn't get anything back. And they still don't feel 100% comfortable with what they were told by our government in regards to how their loved ones died in the Kabul attack. The response is it's just pitiful. It's a pitiful response. And I'm like, what is going on? What's happening with the whole situation? Yeah, I'll change your lights. We got it, buddy. Here. I like it. Can I do the lights? I like the lights.
He likes the light.
Every now and then you have equipment that goes, oh, we're going to do by ourselves.
Mhm. The equipment has a mind of its own.
Yeah, that's fun stuff that we deal with.
I know. It's fun.
This is cancelthisshow.com. Glenn says, I'm not worried about Israel versus Hamas. My concern is Iran and all the other anti-Israel countries surrounding them that they're going to attack as well. Correct.
Yeah.
That's
spot on.
That's what we've been doing today too, Glenn. We've been trying to connect the dots. This is what leads other people in.
Correct.
And you already see the posturing begin. Obviously, the United States is Israel. Then on top of it, what do you have now? You have China telling Israel that they need to back off. You have Iran telling China they need to back off. They need to stop. Russia hasn't said anything overly direct to anybody there. But then, of course, what's Syria going to do? They're sitting right over there as well. Egypt was with us for a little bit. Donald Trump was talking with Turkey. There's just a lot. There's a lot that's going on, and we all know from what we've seen in years past, if there are for whatever reason the countries in the Middle East do not accept Israel, if they attack, we've got a massive issue.
We do. We have people on the chat line are talking about the chanting that goes on. We have, I back up to a brand new neighborhood and I do not know their nationality. I don't know if they're from India, but I know that they're Middle Eastern and they are celebrating right now. It is quite frightening. I am walking and they're celebrating this attack and they live a block from me. And there's a whole group there celebrating it. And they have a party on 9/11. They did last year and it frightens the hell out of me.
And your president, I said that loosely, Joe
Very
Biden
loosely.
is, I don't see any sort of an effort, any sort of a hardcore effort to try to worry about Americans. You've got to worry about your own country first before you can go worry about other things. We showed you the soundbite earlier in the show from 60 Minutes. He's not talking about helping Americans. He's worried about uniting Europe. And then if anybody wants to get into the whole deep dive when it comes to what Donald Trump has already told us about, the deep state is after him. They're coming for you. They're not coming for him. He's standing in the way. Think about this. Donald Trump is all America. Joe Biden is talking about international ideas. Then we hear about the World Economic Forum and what they're trying to do. And then people talk about the other situations of deep state, who's involved, the New World Order. Is this all part of it? I think it's a fair conversation.
It is fair.
And who's involved? Because, unprovoked, even though Hamas will say that they were provoked since 1948 and on a daily basis, at least in current times, to go in and do what they did. And I still believe Israel knew that they were coming in. The intelligence is too strong in this day and age. There's no way in hell they didn't know 1,500 people were coming in. And Egypt has already said that they alerted not only Israel, but America that this attack could occur. And we did not take it serious. Or we knew about it and went like, yeah, all right, let them come in a little bit. They're going to attack our citizens, and then we're going to blow back bigger than ever before. Is it about making money? Is it about something larger in the region? Are there factors at play that know if the United States gets involved, that's going to cause a lot of problems? Does it advance to something when it comes to China, as we talked about earlier, with China having a little bit more power to try to go after Vietnam, or not Vietnam, excuse me, going after Taiwan? Because we all damn well know China will, if Donald Trump were to face Joe Biden for election, we all know Donald Trump would win.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, I don't feel as if they could run a Joe Biden against Donald Trump.
You wouldn't think so.
If Donald Trump were, and I've already said, I don't see how Donald Trump is allowed back in office by the deep state. There's no way. There's just, because it'll ruin everything that's crazy going on. And don't think for a second that if Donald Trump is in office, that China will even think twice about going into Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way in hell, because they know, and they've dealt with him. They call him whatever they want, crazy man, whatever. They know that they're not doing. That's why everybody sat still in the corner like good little kids when Daddy was there, because Daddy took care of stuff.
We need Daddy.
And then they changed it and had this elected president, Biden, and you've seen the disaster that has happened. There's been more damage to our country in this 2 to 3 year time period in the history of this country under the leadership of Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a Democrat who can disagree with me.
No.
Not one. And bring facts. You may bring feelings to the table, but there's no facts. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. They can say that they feel, again, they still even talk about the mean tweets, and they feel that he doesn't bring decorum to the office, but they literally will act like Joe Biden does bring decorum to the office.
And Trump is proven right on a daily basis.
Every single day.
On everything that he said that would happen.
Yes.
And of course, you don't want that. The other situation too is to try to keep him out of the news. And that's why it's so difficult to try to connect all the dots with everything that's happening in this world, because we've never seen anything like this happen before, with so many issues going on, massive issues within the United States, and then now international issues that the United States is involved in. One that we got in ourselves and might have created in Ukraine, and then one, who knows what our involvement was in this whole situation with Israel and Hamas and the Gaza Strip and the other countries that are now involved. Israel's not going to stop. This is now, as we said last week, the biggest tragedy, the most bloodshed on Israeli soil since the Holocaust. And I know American Jews who know people who died, and that stuff is not going to sit and just go away. And that's why they back war. So now we're in war. I mean, or at least Israel is.
Yes.
And if we have Israel's back, for all intents and purposes, we're in a war there.
Correct.
And if it's a war in the Middle East, it becomes quickly a world war.
Yes.
And then we see where it goes from that standpoint. But this isn't, this is where it starts. Or it is right now, at least. So yeah, I'm not happy. I'm not positive about things that can happen, Lizzie. I wish I had other news to report from that standpoint, but yeah, I'm extremely concerned. I just wonder if everybody else is.
I think all of our listeners are very concerned. I even think people that hadn't woke up now are more concerned, because if they're smart and any discerning at all, they do see what's happening. It's happening in every aspect of our life. It's happening in grocery stores, gas, you see wars. I mean, they have to understand it's not a good time, but there's still some people that are doubling down, like a liberal that I was talking to this weekend, bought a humongous home when the interest rates were good, now understands he couldn't move, but he still doesn't contribute that to Biden being bad and Trump being good. They just think it's a cyclical thing, and it just is cyclical, and this just happens, and that's just life. And these are educated, people who rationalize that.
Well, it's easier to rationalize.
It is
because you
easier to
get taught.
rationalize.
Well, it is also interesting too, and I don't mean to rip doctors, but I read a stat a couple of years ago. It was doctors in some other field. Some of the most intelligent people that you can imagine were also they had the highest degrees of not really believing there's a God. Because you start to think that you're so smart, you can handle everything.
Correct.
And it can be a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm smart. I rely on myself. I do this and I do that, and fine. But it is interesting that the higher the intelligence, the more they thought that they were God.
Correct. That
there is no God.
Or the universe is God and they're king of the universe.
I know somebody that a lot of people feels like he's a God. That's Sean Hannity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Somebody brought it up. We did have it. We had it in our turn. So here it is. We'll play this video for you. Hannity and Vivek. They went at it at the end of last week. We didn't get into it on Friday because it was a free-for-all show.
Correct.
But this Hannity versus Vivek. I mean, a part of me laughed, but part of me also got upset because in being an interviewer and doing things for so long, I just felt like Hannity was a little out of control at first. Now, to break this down, said that he was using words that Vivek said to make his point. But Vivek said he was taking them out of context or using them in a way that he shouldn't have been using them. Thus their argument, thus their fight, thus the battle that we now show you between these two. Do you have it loaded up yet, Joe? Okay, we're waiting on that. We'll get that back. And it's interesting because here are we okay. Joe, you just let me know, buddy. These two going at it. And if you had a side, if somebody wins, if somebody doesn't win. But Vivek does bring up Tucker Carlson, which I thought was interesting as well. Okay, we ready to roll? Rock it, baby.
Where if your campaign is principally being run by super PACs, people who can give unlimited amounts of money to your campaign, I don't think that befits the Republican Party. I think we need to be better than that. So, Sean, you and I may have a different view on that. But my view is, if you're making money off your time in government, then I don't think you're fit to be president of the United States. Well, more importantly, though, what's our policy? Stand with our allies while avoiding World War III. And that's where I'm at.
A lot of people don't think you're qualified because you weren't even a Republican or voting Republican until what, 2020?
Well, Sean, I think that it depends on what your objectives with this interview are. I voted Libertarian in my first election. I voted Republican in 2020. You're right. I'm not a partisan hack. I come in from the outside.
Forgive you for your screw-up.
I'm an independent-minded patriot who speaks the truth.
It sounds to me like you just want to jump from the private sector yourself, where you made a lot of money. By the way, I applaud capitalism. I applaud successful people.
Sean, I applaud you for being so transparent about your objectives.
I actually think that people work in the defense of our country, in the defense industry, are playing a vital role for the cause of freedom. So I don't really call it a corrupting influence or suggest that somehow that's a corrupting influence. I actually like the experience that goes along with working for defense contractors. But I've got to listen.
One of the things I loved about that interview with Tucker, was we were actually able to have a thoughtful conversation and go deep into issues rather than this kind of political gotcha.
The point is this: you go on these interviews. Yeah, I have nothing but nice things to say. But here's your problem:
people should watch it.
You go on these shows, people quote your exact words, and you deny your own words. And I'm saying if you're going to be a presidential candidate and you're going to spend, I'm going to give you your exact words, either own it
Sean, you have been sitting here for years talking about the fake news media.
But you played this all the time.
I'm enjoying this. You have been laughing about the fake news media how many times for the last several years, and now you're buying the mainstream media narrative when you know how corrupt it is.
I am following you. I am quoting your exact words.
Are a problem.
Did I not quote your exact words?
About Azerbaijan and Armenia.
Did I not quote your exact words? Did I quote your exact words?
And Armenia, absolutely.
Thank you.
About Azerbaijan, yes, you did.
I've got time to go.
About a different topic, Azerbaijan, where people should actually get their own information rather than filtered through centralized media.
I think it's asinine to think somebody that worked in the defense industry should not be qualified to be president. I think people that never held public office, like you, maybe they're not qualified to be president. Anyway, we'll come back. We'll continue. Secretary of State, former.
Well, my opinion there is Sean Hannity was a complete ass. I don't trust Vivek, but I think Hannity was a complete ass.
No,
here.
good point. I'm glad that you said that. You see those two go at it. I don't
Mhm.
think either one of them wins in a situation like that.
Correct.
However, if I was going to pick a side, I'm picking Vivek only because Sean Hannity, shame on you as an
Yeah.
interviewer. You get a little big in your britches,
Mhm.
and then you start mouthing. Just let somebody finish their damn answer. One of the massive problems that we have in America is people don't want to listen. We have a problem. We as a society, not a lot of us as individuals, we have a problem listening to somebody else. We might just shut up. Let people finish. Let them talk, and then you can make your point.
Mhm.
I mean, there's too many people who won't listen, and then they accuse you of interrupting them if you're just trying to finish your soundbite.
Correct.
If you're trying to finish what you're trying to say.
Mhm.
Hannity kept interrupting him.
Yeah.
He just kept interrupting him.
That was an awful interview.
Maybe Hannity has a point. Maybe the Hannity sees what a lot of us have seen Vic. We don't trust this. We don't trust that. But the entire interview, Hannity was also trying to say that Vivek was saying one thing about a subject and then switch it over to something else.
Mhm.
Great point. Glenn says Hannity didn't attack Newsom like
Right.
that.
That says a lot. I didn't even
Wow.
think about that.
And I do agree with you, Glenn. I felt Hannity was outclassed by Vivek
Yes.
because he's used to dominating his interviews. Sometimes that can happen. I mean, he's not a bad guy, but sometimes if you have this powerful position and you're used to dominating people, and if somebody challenges you, you may have a problem with it.
Mhm.
Hannity got challenged. I felt he lost. They both lost, but I thought Vivek lost less.
Mhm.
And it's just sad to see that this is what happens. Do you see liberals arguing and fighting with each other like this? It goes back to what I've said before. I hate this thing
Mhm.
with Republicans. Yes, all of you Republicans, you have people that lead us that fight with each other. They're selfish. They're stingy.
Mhm.
They try to eat their own. They don't support two
Correct.
massive conservative podcasts. They don't put a lot of money out there for conservative causes. Liberals are. I know several liberals who are putting their money where their thoughts and their hearts are. Even if we disagree or people disagree with what their agendas or issues are,
Mhm.
they back it
Correct. There's
because they
nobody.
believe it. And then we have Republicans fighting with each other like this.
Mhm.
What's happening in the House right now, and it doesn't appear to get better. And Republicans who, at least in the beginning, were all against Trump as well. Like even attacking him. And now I started to see a change in the guard because they realize, well, we have no other guy. I mean, he's going to win it. It's just terrible to see. Chris says Vic Hannity is not a good guy. Aaron says, well, duh, when your party is where is it? Politburo, you're lockstep or get Arkansided. Okay. And then Chris says, just ask people that used to work with Hannity and they'll disagree with you, Vic. Oh, because I said what? He was a good guy or he seems like a good guy.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's what the disagreement. And
Fair
we're
enough.
starting to see that. And Matthew made a really good point.
I've never met him.
I've never met him either, but he's making a good point. If you listen to Hannity on Fox, he's different than the Hannity that's on air, on radio. On air, he sounds more conservative. On Fox TV, he sounds more like a show for Fox, and maybe that's just his survival.
I think he sounds conservative on TV.
Not as much as he does on the radio.
Okay, well then that would be your point.
That is my point.
Okay.
That is my point. Yes, that he can be more free to say what he wants on radio, but he has to keep it in certain boxed boundaries when he's on Fox TV. He definitely does. And right there, like I had said earlier, I'm not saying that I like Vivek. I don't know. I like what he says, but I don't trust him for many, many reasons. And that remains to be seen. But Hannity really has kind of lost it in his interviewing. And what I'm meaning by that is if he has somebody on and he just doesn't agree with him, he just attacks them like a pit bull.
Mary says, I miss Bill O'Reilly at times. He was so much better than Hannity. Well, yeah. I mean, with all due respect, now keep in mind, Hannity has had a very successful career.
He certainly has.
So let's keep that in check, that man has had a ton of success. So kudos to him for that. When it comes to the elites of the elite, no, he's not Bill O'Reilly. He wasn't Tucker Carlson. He's just not. Hell, I think I'd rather watch the Jesse dude than Hannity, and
Oh, for
obviously Laura Ingraham. I just like Laura's style.
sure. Right.
They're all better,
Mhm.
but he's had a super career, and maybe he knows that. Maybe, maybe he has that Napoleon syndrome. I
Well,
don't
and maybe
know. I
dating that
mean,
Ainsley from the morning show
oh, Ainsley.
Ainsley is making him a little crabby.
So you're saying a woman will ruin you real fast?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he can't keep up with her. That's what it is. I don't know what I'm saying, but I don't know what I'm saying about that. But I am saying
I was like,
he's
wait a
got-
second.
They've been dating now for a little bit, and he seems
Yeah,
like he's gotten
I've heard
crabbier.
that.
So I don't know. And people on here are saying that they miss Rush.
Megan Marie says, Mark Levine has been losing his mind lately as well.
I thought so too.
What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
He's
if we're
not-
going to go down that path,
a lot of people would agree
educate
with
me.
Megan. Okay, so when he's on, I like a lot of what he says, but he's kind of gone on the way too of Hannity saying things that, like maybe our show, just some points that he wouldn't agree with us. It's almost like Mark, and maybe it's because they're on Fox, but Mark and Sean are getting more establishment acting, because Mark used to be fringe conservative and just go at it and say stuff that nobody else said and all that kind of stuff. And now he's like going off the rails, not conservatively. He's more establishment Republican acting. And he is. And like I said, I don't know if it's because Fox gave him a warning after Tucker, because I noticed it after Tucker. And so now when you watch him, it's like, gosh, you're really kind of milquetoast. You still kind of do the screaming, but you're saying nothing. That's what he's doing. He's screaming.
Really?
Nothing. Yes.
I'm just curious, Megan Marie, what did you mean by losing his mind? Any specific instances, any specific topics that you noticed too, Lizzie?
Yeah, well, it's like any topics when he's talking about even this war and stuff like that. And I believe he's Jewish, and he is definitely for the plight of the Jewish people. But that part, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys think I'm wrong on this, it almost like he's even more pro-Jewish people than he is even America first. That's just one thing, and then other things he's completely milquetoast on politics, almost like he's backing a Kevin McCarthy type.
Well, maybe so. Megan says Mark is supercharged about Israel, and he will challenge anyone that doesn't know the facts, including Rachel Duffy. Interesting. Glenn says Hannity seems more tense since his ratings dropped when Tucker left.
That's a good point.
That could be the case as well.
Mm-hmm.
We also had Aaron say, "What? Aaron or Ainsley Earhart is dating?"
Yes.
WTF?
Yeah.
Sean Hannity.
That is a true story.
They started dating in 2019 after divorcing their spouses.
Correct.
Ainsley, that was her second marriage.
And they've been now seen out and about in New York City.
Yeah, I wonder how that one works, because he works at night, she works in the morning.
Right. I thought about that too. I guess maybe
that ain't working. I'm telling you, I work the morning show. That shift sucks. That ruins lives. That you don't even know where you are. You walk around like Joe Biden, like you're a zombie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he works a lot too. So I'm guessing they're weekend lovers. That'd be my guess. That's my guess. Mm-hmm.
Balls. Here we go. Weekend lovers.
Well, I bet that's the truth.
Or nooners.
Our nooners right before his radio show.
He's getting ready to go, and she's getting ready to shut things down. Maybe that would be.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be.
Yeah, his ratings are low. He's dating Ainsley and all this, and then he has to sneak it in. He was hiding it. So that dude is 10.
Whoa. You're talking about sneaking things in and hiding it? What are you talking about, Lizzie? Joe, do you hear what I'm hearing? And I'm not trying to be funny.
Well, I don't mean it like literal, but I mean,
it's only going to be a matter of time before we get a sexual innuendo.
Okay, well, I do
innuendo
mean it
from Lizzie
I do
Sparks.
mean it literal. They go on the weekends and they do whatever they do on the weekends. They probably just hold hands in the park. They just probably walk around Central Park and hold hands. That's it.
Hannity's not a hand holder. I can already tell.
Yeah, I bet he's not. He doesn't seem warm and cuddly like he's a teddy bear.
Greg says too many changes at Fox. It's pretty sad that Gutfeld is their top rated show now.
Yeah.
He was just in a perfect spot, though. I mean, it was a perfect spot, kind of entertainment, no real competition. Just good. It was different. Sometimes that works in life where timing is everything, and it's worked for him. And then of course he is now, gone from being, and I like him a lot better now. He has gone from being kind of comedic, where he's making some super valid points when it comes to hardcore media news stories. That's for sure. Michelle says, I'm a follower of the conservative treehouse. Gateway Pundit does a terrific job. Wano Savin, I'm not familiar with that person. Liberty Daily and David Nino Rodriguez. Yeah. So anyway, we continue. Yeah. DRC says, Aaron called it. You got to watch them pineapple people on the weekends. That's the area that Lizzie used to live in. So now some of this stuff is starting to make sense to me.
You know, if you drive through Newtown, a bunch of people have pineapples in their porch.
They do.
We're a St. Louis area show, national topics. Joe just brought up a town in the St. Louis area. I guess they have a lot of swing sets. Would that be a way to put that?
That would be a polite way to put
Yes,
that.
Newtown and Swing Haven.
It's a kid-friendly show sometimes, as we've been told once before. DRC says, it's QBS Vic. Don't invest your time, please. Don't invest my time on what specifically?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what's going on with that. Matthew says, I don't watch Gutfeld as much as I used to because Fox turns my stomach, but his show is great. Tyrus is on target there as well. Tyrus is in St. Louis about 4 months ago as well. Know some people that had a chance. My uncle is a super, super artist and had a chance to do some illustrations for Tyrus when he was here in St. Louis. And I hear he is nothing but a big teddy bear stud, which is great to hear as well. Never mind. I'm going to leave that alone. We don't need to be talking about pineapples on a Monday, although we are trying to leave it in them.
Well, I mean, but Brenda was just saying the pineapple has to be turned upside down. If the pineapple is up, you just like pineapples.
Okay, I'm just looking at Pro Joe.
But if you turn it upside down, then that means that one of two things. It depends. It could be that you're a gay swinger or that you could be just a swinger. So you got to be careful when you put a pineapple on your front door. You're making it an invitation to people.
Is the pineapple that's sideways, does it just mean that it got blown over?
Literally got blown over.
Uh-oh. Mary says hospitality.
Yes.
Well, I guess this was the topic that was going to leave us with a better taste in our mouth before we left.
Absolutely. Pineapples, you know what? They're
The taste of pineapple.
the taste of pineapple. They
There you
taste really
go.
juicy. Balls.
Patty says, I've been trying to educate myself on this, but I can only store so much and it might squeeze something out.
That was good. It might squeeze something out.
Oh
But,
my God. Aaron says,
Good
I'll
one,
never
Patty.
look at pineapple upside down cake the same again.
Yeah.
Be careful if you slam your door, if you have pineapples and you don't mean anything and it goes upside down.
Yeah, for a long time.
You may get some knocks.
And be really careful if you have a mat at your front door and you have the pineapple turned up down. That's like come in anytime, people.
Mary says, just leave the pineapple alone, please.
Well, you know what? The swingers messed with the pineapples.
Well,
That's
and
the problem.
don't have an FO or FAFO shirt around an upside down pineapple either.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
Oh, wow. Bendy says we got it in Newport, Rhode Island, the symbol of hospitality.
Yes.
I have a pineapple that's wearing a gag ball on my porch.
Stop it.
That's funny.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Mary says they ruined the rainbow.
And the pineapple.
Doesn't want the pineapple ruined as well. I
Right.
get it.
Yeah. Well, you know what we should do, Mary? You should, at your house today, put a rainbow up and say something about God and keep your pineapple straight up and down. And then you're all good.
You know, I think that's what I'm going to do for Halloween. Instead of a pumpkin, I'm going to carve a
pineapple?
and I'm going to put a gag ball in its mouth.
I dare you. And
Oh,
then
dear
take a
God.
picture.
Don't
will
do that
take
to
a picture.
kids. You don't have kids that come by, do you?
No, I
That's for
don't.
your private
No,
dancer
right.
party,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, my
Kids would be like, oh my God, that guy is something's wrong with him.
That guy is a sicko.
All right. Trish says, hey, I hear flamingos hanging on RVs mean the same thing.
I did not know that.
Damn.
You know,
you're
I
very
haven't
excited.
seen. I haven't seen, but it's just the other day I was driving out and I saw an RV and it had a pineapple or like one of those flamingos, those pink things upside down. And I thought, oh, the poor little flamingo's neck is going to hurt. But it turns out there's a meaning from it then.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there you
This
go.
all reminds me of like nude beaches, and all the people are using nude beaches are people that probably shouldn't be using nude beaches.
Yeah, have you noticed that most
Sorry.
people that are on a new beach, we saw that and took my grandma and my great aunt to the beach on a cruise, did not even understand that St. Thomas had a new beach. And we stand there and their eyes get big. And my great aunt goes, honey, the bad thing about nude beaches is not that they're nude. It's just the people that should have clothes on don't.
Yeah.
And then she went into some graphic details.
So that's why you are the way that you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's an inbred thing.
It is an inbred thing.
All right.
It really is.
Balls.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to us today for this edition of Cancel This. I know we have some guests coming up this week. Did you book anybody this week or is it next week?
I have somebody next week and the week after. I don't have anyone booked.
I can't remember. I have to check the list.
You do on Thursday though, but I can't remember who it is. And we've got, it'll be cool hauntings on Friday. So
yeah, that's true. Okay. Anything we missed, Projo? We missed anything?
We got one video, but
what was that about?
It was another. It was Jill Biden escorting Joe Biden off stage.
Well,
let's end it.
Yeah,
we got to
end it with that.
I missed this one earlier. This was at his human rights speech where he told people you really don't need guns with lots of rounds, and he also was talking about how America needs to vote for him. Well, here he is at the end of his speech. He's lost, and it's time for him to go, but Dr. Jill has to come save the day. He was pulling on him. He's so feeble. Look at this. He's gone. He's looking at Joe. Yeah, okay. Come with me. This way. I'm your lead. Okay. Look at him. Just the way he walks. I mean, if a strong wind comes by.
He's fallen over.
Yeah, he's fallen over. Nurse Jill to save the day. Oh, dear God.
Sweet Jill.
Is this the way I'm supposed to go?
There's a video.
I think that's exactly what he said.
I'm
Look,
sure. There's a
watch
video.
His mouth. Is this the way I'm supposed to go?
It's so obvious.
Hey, guys, thanks again for watching Cancel This. That does it for this October 16th podcast live cast. You can catch all of our original content on our website, canceltheshow.com. For Projo, intern Chase, who's here today, Lizzie Sparks, I'm Vic Faust. Have an awesome day. If you guys have story ideas, interviews, let us know. You can reach out to us on email. Come on, man. You don't vote for me, you ain't black. Never forget him saying that. My God, one of the most racist things ever.
He is a racist.
And I'm Vic Faust. Have an awesome day. We'll catch you tomorrow. Come on.